everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to this VJ Interlude special episode. If you're about to watch this, you can watch it on its own. However, this is like kind of a follow-up to an interview I did with the creator of Hedron, Varun Singh, and I just wanted to give y'all like the chance to actually watch somebody walk through it and really like explain anything that might be confusing. Well, at least I'll try my best. I've walked through it a bit already before, and I even had Varun walk me through it as well. However, it takes me a bit to get to know things. So you and I both, we're going to be doing this together. So thank you for coming along for the ride. And I think before we like kick it off into diving into things, let's hear from Varun. Yeah. I think that's the good idea here.
Hi, I'm Varun, creator of Tabletop Mirror. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for checking out the platform. We've still got a lot to work on, but it's through the support and feedback from users like you that really makes us believe we can accomplish our mission of making homebrewing accessible for every game master of every system. So thank you for being a part of the journey, and welcome to the community.
Okay, so in case, I know you just saw, like, I know you're seeing Welcome to Hedron, you're seeing Welcome to Tabletop Mirror. So just a little background, Hedron was originally called Tabletop Mirror, but prior to after our interview, but prior to the making of this actual video, which happened at two different times, it got renamed. So Welcome to Hedron. It's projecthedron.com if you're trying to come here and all that good stuff. But yeah, so we're going to dive into this in a moment. I'm going to take it to the break screen real quick. Got something to check in on, and then we'll come back in here and I'm going to walk you through a decent chunk of what's going on here, right? All right, I'll see you folks in a moment. Okay, folks, welcome back. Thank you for bearing with me in this brief break. So let's go over some things. Now, one of the big things that I want to highlight before we touch anything else is that Hedron has an amazing tutorials. Like, if there's anything you could possibly think that you might want to try and figure out how to do on here, if it's doable, Hedron has it. So first off, you got, of course, the Hedron Quick Start Guide, which I suggest anybody that's like coming into this, even after watching this, to go look at the Quick Start Guide as well, just to like we'll click on it and look at it. Right. It even gives you like kind of some time for how long it would take you to do things. So quick prerequisite, goals, understanding how things work. We'll give you like the starting quick kind of video for it as well. Some couple of flow charts to walk you through and some questions here. I think having a very verbose, and this, mind you, is just the most popular articles. Like, for example, what do I want to know? Ooh, shit. What's a good question for this? Monster stat? Let's type in monster stat blocks. I don't know. What'll pop up? Search. Let's see. Getting started as a system designer, Hedron Markdown, getting started as a player, designing characters, bonuses, importing. So if there's actually something in here that actually like addresses what like it touches on it at all, it'll pop up for you, right? I haven't read every single one of these, so I couldn't tell you if there was actually something with monster stat blocks inside of it. But this, like, you can ask your question in here, and if you don't have an answer or don't find an answer in here, there's also a very healthy there's a very healthy Discord community as well that can answer your questions. But I think for the articles that we currently have, this is very good. It's perfect as it is right now for. Sorry, folks. Okay, sorry. I thought for a second I thought you couldn't hear me, and I was gonna be like, well, it's not a VJ Talks episode of anything if there's not technical difficulties, right? But anyway, back on topic. So there are a lot of quick start guides, help, any questions you could ask to really walk you through the process, regardless of what the reasons for being in Hedron is. So. Now, this is not going to be like I'm not about to walk you through every single possible thing that you could do in here. I'm a game master. I'm a teacher. Like, in order of the things that I do, I'm a game master, I'm a game designer, and then I'm a player. And so I think the first thing I want to talk to y'all about is actually like running games in here. It's definitely going to have other parts because I'm starting to like move over some stuff from my own personal things that I was previously using for keeping lore and stuff and whatnot. I'm migrating that all over here. So once that's done, I will like also come at it from the view of a player as well. And I'm also thinking about using this on, making some game design. So we'll have multiple parts, but this is the first one, which is really catered towards DMs. So when you get into Hedron, as you kind of can see at the top of this, you have three options. Play games, which is definitely for you, for the players. Run games, which is for you, the GM. And then design games, which is for you, the designer. But we're going to go with run games. Now, I have been in this before. This is not me just looking at it cold. Like I said, I even said Varun helped me, like kind of walk me through some things. And so I've already got kind of a thing in here already, right? So when you do run games, you have a couple of options. You have create a game. You have, it doesn't have to inherently be the Dungeons and Dragons one. I set that for mine because that's what most of my systems are in. But you can hit explore systems and then you can pick a number of them. And if any of these aren't like these, they have some options here already. So for example, let's say, you know what? Let's see if this is in here actually. Orbital Blues. Okay, Orbital Blues is not in here. So it'll very quickly let you know if the system is or isn't in there. And if it's not, I think you can request the system. There's some, legal stuff that probably has to go with that, but it's something you can probably request to get put in there. Orbital Blues is my favorite system, so I was like, let's try that out. But as you can kind of already see here, there are other systems in here, and it even lets you know like kind of where they're sitting at while that's happening. So for example, the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition SRD is already in here. The Pathfinder 1E is a template only. Pathfinder 2E is a work in progress. Cyberpunk's a work in progress. Eldritch Automata is in there. God, it's a good game. and whatnot. Hedron is always constantly innovating, always constantly adding things to it just to make the user experience even better and to have it have more wide range options. But for the purposes of this, I am talking to y'all about, it's going to be Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition SRD. So we're over on your campaigns. You can create a campaign easily. Just hit create a we'll go through this real quick. We'll say Under Her Dark Gaze, which is actually one of the campaigns that I'm literally running, right? So in Under Her Dark Gaze, of course, I can hit join the session as the DM. I don't currently have any players. This is a private page that no one else can view besides obviously Varun. You can hit edit, which will allow me to do a short introduction. I can add a picture to it. There's editor notes. There's descriptions I can add to it. There's just, I can add like a lore book and party information, just a whole couple of things that I can add in here. Now, I haven't actually started putting any of my campaigns over in here. I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm doing with that. But what I have been doing is adding my like actual campaign materials, so my world building stuff, right? And so you obviously have campaign materials here, which include character building, campaign books, campaigns and parties, session maps, sheets, monsters and NPCs, abilities, classes, ancestry, spells, casting lists, items, shops. I'm actually not sure what casting list is. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Like when I told y'all that, like, I'm not coming in this cold, some things I am coming in it cold. There were some very specific things that I asked Varun to like walk me through. And it was not every single thing on this. So you and I are learning together in some bits as well. But so you have a bunch of campaign materials that you can like click on and add things to for your players to be able to view. But the stuff that I started messing around with was the world building tools, because that's kind of what's really helpful for me. I've been using like other places to put my world building information and giving my players access to it. So right now you have your options of lores, books, world maps, calendars, events, and timelines. I started off with books. When you go into books here, there's already a bunch of other books that are like publicly here available if you wanted to go in and check in it. I have my own book, which is my world, which is called Imiok. Imiok it's very bare bones here. Like the thing that it currently has is an overview for the world, right? So it talks about like there's the thing that kind of exists in my world is a strife that happens every like, I don't know, 4,000 years or something. And so, it was like this Imiok and overview. This is for the first strife that ever happened, which was like the elemental planes, which the elemental planes were created out of it. And so everything was ripped apart. And I just dumped this in here for players to be able to come in and like take a look at each and every strife as I like actually add them in there. But I haven't done that yet. So we're just kind of starting here. Here's like the overview for this part of Imiok. Now to go back. Actually, I didn't have to go back to books. That's on me. I just wanted to go back to Imiok, right? So we have Imiok. Now, the next thing I'm going to add in here is edit. We're going to have create a new page. This new page is going to be, let's see. If I go continents, create. So this is the continents and whatnot. New comments. I don't need that. Okay. So if I went in here and because it really depends. So we have different sections in here, right? Let's see, add a new section. Yeah. So pretty much what would happen in here if I was already like doing this right now, I would just be talking about the overall land masses and their names and the countries that are within them, right? Like a short introduction. There are 15 continents on Imiok. That's not the actual number, but you know, bear with me. There are 15 continents in here, just the things that I would want the players to know automatically when they were like looking at this page. And then of course I could have my editor notes, which would just be for me to see, which I think is very helpful. I love anything that allows me to like have private notes that I can keep on a page that nobody else can see. And if there was a page, I haven't created any page templates, but if I had created a page template previously for making this, I could just import it and it would be there already for me. I don't have any images for this, don't have any comma separated tags. And so of course I would give like a more detailed description than the short introduction that I would have gotten at the top of the page. And then after that, all right, so this untitled section, I'm going to title it, Jesus, wrong thing to paste. I'm going to title it Edendon, and Taran Fothroch. And the reason I'm titling that like that is because that's the first continent, right? The first continent has two places on it, Edendon and Taran Fothroch. Now, something that's going to be really useful for me and definitely useful for you is that, so I have this stuff. The place that I'm currently holding my stuff is Legend Keeper, and I'm planning on moving everything over. Not because there's anything wrong with Legend Keeper, but because I'm in love with Hedron. And Legend Keeper, as well as like Legend Keeper, has formatting that you can copy from it and paste into Google Documents. You can also copy Google Documents formatting and paste into Legend Keeper, but that functionality also exists in Hedron as well. So as you can see, I have come in here and I have just pasted all of this. It's got the correct sizing, the italics and everything, and I can just keep scrolling down. There might be a couple things that like for example, I'll hit enter on that, just for a little bit of space between things and whatnot, but it has all of the previous formatting that I did. Now, let's save this and see if I need to like tweak the, let's see, even down basic information. Actually, I don't need to hit anything to save this. This is in here now. This is good. And let's see. Let's try adding a new section. So yeah, I can keep repeating this process for all of the continents and the information that I have and just plugging it in there. And it's literally just a copy and paste over. There is also a way to import this, which Varun showed me and I have now forgotten how to do. Which is on me and not Varun, but and there is definitely a guide that shows you how to do it. There's a whole, like, if you put import, it'll show you how to like get stuff in here. So you don't even have to do that. Like if you're keeping everything in Google Documents right now, you don't even have to do the copy and paste. You can just hit import. You can grab it, download it, and import it directly in here. It might be quicker to copy and paste. I would find it quicker, but that's just up to personal preference at that point. It's not actually a wrong or right way to do anything. But yeah, so we could keep going and going and going, and then eventually, let's say I got this whole thing set up correctly and I was like, hey, okay, players, here you go. I could, instead of making it a public thing, which I could do, but I don't really like making my stuff public like that. I would just go in and add people. I would either search for user, choose an entire campaign party, or choose a role and would be able to add people that kind of had that role already. I don't have anybody in this campaign. I don't have anybody in this in this website already that like would be a part of it to be able to be added to it, or a party at that point. So there's no use in me doing that. But these are kind of the ways that you could go in and have like and add people privately if you didn't want your stuff publicly available as well. Now, of course, this is just like kind of getting into the books of whatnot. Let's go check out lores. Oh, fuck me. You know what? I actually didn't save that. I lied. Wait, let's go back to the books and see. All right. No. Run games, books. Let's just go take a quick little look. I do actually. I'm just a silly guy. It's there. It's there. So, okay. Save. Still, you should hit save, but also if you don't, it'll still be there. So, whew. Not that it would have taken a lot to like go back and add that, but if you do that, but it's good to know that if you were in here for a bit adding things, that it would be there factually. Okay. So next up, we're going to go to lores, right? Ooh, so sorry about that, folks. So these two are these are public lores. The only thing that I did in here, I made some books. I tried to make a calendar, which was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be, but it also does a lot more than what you would expect it to do as well. Definitely going to need to walk through the guidebook, the guide tools to actually do that. But those are only kind of the two things that I tried messing around with here. But yes, so right now we have these two public facing ones, but we can go ahead and hit create lore. What's the lore name? We're gonna go floating. We're gonna title it a floating island. I don't actually know what this would be for. Create. So you create that. Let's see. World maps none. We can hit edit. Why am I clicking on this? There's, okay. Add a book. So because this is already this is on my thing. Despite the fact that EMEOC is private, it still pops up in this, so I could hit select, add a book, and it's kind of titled to that. I don't have a calendar event. I don't have a timeline. I don't really have calendars. Do I have a calendar in here? Actually, I do have calendars in here. We can go look at those later. But I could, like, the other things that you're making, you can connect them to each other like this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because this is something I'm not actually, like, going to save or anything. Because I don't actually have a floating island lore in my world. But short introduction, like just like the little brief things to tell them. And then I would write out exactly what is going on with this floating island, like the lore a player might be able to know. And then if we kind of scroll down here, we still have the general rule as private. But as people learn and for more information, you can easily go add people and you can give your players that information and it'll pop up in whatever like bit that they have access to, which again, folks, I am going to get everything moved over and then come back and talk to you about this. This is part one. What you need as a GM, what you get as a GM. We're going to come back for part two, the game design bits, and I'm actually going to walk through making a game with y'all using this whole thing, and then we're going to actually talk about being a player as well. It might be in a different order, but you get my point here. But yeah, so you have these options to write in lores and tie them to a specific book, tie them to a specific map, tie them to a specific event and timeline and calendars, and share them with specific people, and it'll pop up for them is my understanding. Okay, folks, so we've talked about lores a little bit. I showed you books, which for me is EMEOC, which is the world. Now we're also going to go to world maps. So we've got EMEOC, which doesn't have a lot going on in it. A couple of things I want to talk about this. First and foremost, while you can draw on here, because you have a couple of different modes here. You have view mode, land mode, which gives you the drawing option. You have, you also have region mode, which gives you that as well. Geography mode, and then landmark mode. But if you go land mode, region mode, or geography, you can draw in here. Unfortunately, that does not mean that myself and those of you that have tablets could pull up Hedron on your tablet and start drawing. It doesn't have that functionality. Maybe it will in the future, but it does not right now. But otherwise, you can like kind of go in here and do a little draw tool and do all that other extra stuff and whatnot. And then once you're ready, so for example, we're going to go back into, let's see, is this? Yes. So I already have some landmarks in here because I was playing around in it. You click on that and then you can rename it. So we're going to name this Drayong's Reef. We can give it a short description. Giant reefs, giant coral reefs in the shape of a, I can't spell, of boop, 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 boop. And then I'm just trying to put in category there. And then I can actually do like the whole, like what I want to be said about this landmark. And then I also have the option of doing the editing access, right? So I can add who I want to add. I can make it public. I can make it private. But yeah, so, and then we kind of close that. It saves itself. And if you want to get rid of stuff, so you're going to click on the thing and then you're going to hit backspace. That'll pop up. Yes. There's a couple here. You might have to do that twice, but there you go. And that's also how you can like kind of clear your map as well. It does take a little bit finagling, like clearing the map like that. You have to get it in the right spot, but you can delete stuff off the map that way. Now, there is a way to import maps. However, I don't know what an SVG file is, and that's kind of what your options. Like when you hit import, it gives SVG document, and that's what you actually have to import it in as. But I don't know what that is and how to convert my stuff into it yet, so I can't show you how that works just yet. However, that option and functionality does exist. And should make like those of us, because I like to, I got a tablet and I've been learning how to draw, and I like to draw my maps. And so it's been very useful for me to like draw my stuff and then being able to upload it as well. Perfect would be, is perfect for me as well to do the little landmarks and stuff and share that information with my players. But so that's kind of what you got going on here. Let me scroll down further. Let's see. And of course, do want to show that you can zoom in all the way as well. And actually, before we do anything, let's mess around with this, right? Okay, so you see how like, hold on a second, rectangle tool, region tool, that's region, and then geography mode. All right, and then we're gonna going to go back to the view mode. Maybe we're going to go back to the land mode. No. We're going to go back to view mode. Okay, let's see. No, that's fine. What is happening here? What are you doing? Okay. Backing out of that. Next up, we're going to go to calendars. Okay, folks, this is the hardest one for me to explain to you because Varun did an excellent job explaining it to me. However, my brain's a sponge sometimes. So it's like, whoo boy. But there's also a handy, like, if we go to our tutorials, right? And I am pulling up the tutorial on a different page because I want to keep us like kind of here. If we go, let's see, what do we want to get? Let's see. Actually, we're going to do timeline. Actually, we're going to get started with Arcane Master. Okay. Deep dive. Let's see. Tutorials, deep dives, the basics. You can get a whole walk down on how exactly this works, and I'm going to try and explain it to you. God, bear with us. So, when you come in here to make a calendar, right? So there's a couple of things you gotta like remember when you come in here to make a calendar. So first things first, you're gonna have like kind of an absolute units, which everything else is based off of, right? So for me, seconds is mine. So seconds equal 1, which is my absolute unit. And then we go up to the top and we go days. So days equal, like, obviously I can change this to whatever I want it to be, seconds, months, years, but I decided to go seconds, months, years, centuries, because that's kind of the standard thing that you want to do here. So for me, 1 day equals 60 seconds, 1 month equals 100 days, 1 year equals 300 months, 1 century equals 1,000 years. And then of course, as we've already said, our seconds here. So once you kind of get that, you also have to do the formatting in here, which is, for me, when you read like a date, it's going to be day, month, year, and then century. Now, right now I've kind of like, I've set this, so right now it's set at 0 days, 0 months, 0 years, 0 centuries, and 0 seconds. So let's try, no, that's not the right one. There's a very specific formatting that happens when you're doing this. So give me math and numbers. It's hard for me, but I know someone out there is going to get this better than I did. We'll leave it at that. We'll go back to save. We'll go back to our calendar. So here's the thing. So right now we're at 1 of the 1,0,0. So my test kind of currently says we're at 0 seconds, 0 minutes, 0 hours, 0 days, 0 months, 0 years. If you add a converter, let's say we use a medieval one, right? You add a converter, select. There's a kind of a couple of extra steps that you go here. You have to map it on. So when you do this correctly, which there's a walkthrough to figure out how to do that. When you do this correctly, essentially what happens here is you have a base kind of like calendar, and then you could set it for like, so let's say I have a base EMEA calendar, right? Like my whole world. I could set this to say, I could have a different calendar and day and time thing for every single country. I could have it for every single city. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. That's a little buck wild, personally, but you do you if you want to. And then as I change like the main linked one, everything else shifts with it, and it tells me that information for it. So while it's not going to look like a calendar like the way you would want to, like, you might want to look at it for like, our standard calendars, it's like, once you know what you're looking at, it's a lot easier to like have multiple calendars tracked across multiple like different locations. One of the things I do have to say, unfortunately, because there's no way right now to like add phases of the moon and whatnot into things. So if you're hoping to have that functionality as well, you're gonna have to go and find a different like software. There's fantasy map generators that could be very useful for this in conjunction with this, like kind of shifting things. I think like the two things together right now until that functionality becomes a possibility on Hedron. If it does, it might not, would be really perfect for people that like, I want the moon phases, but I also want XYZ thing. So this is kind of perfect for that. So next up, we're going to talk about events. Right now, this is a public one, right? I haven't done any events. So we're going to create an event together. So we're going to select the Ed and Dawn calendar. You do need to have a calendar for an event, right? We're going to select that. And then the event name is going to be the first strife. Create. Okay, the first strife. We're going to hit edit. So short introduction, same things. We set the date. We're going to leave this as is because math things hard. We're going to set the date. We set the date in here for what it is. And as the like, so what are we going to name this? Yeah. We'll hit save for the first strife. Ed and Dawn date 11111 calendar events. So that's like my first strife. Let me go. I am curious about something. Okay, no, it's not there. Okay, interesting. I was curious about, I was wondering if like, so obviously we have calendar events, but I was wondering if that shows up in the like calendar section as well, because, you know, it's set to that date right now. It does not at that moment. No worries. And then of course we have timelines. DuckTales, not mine, of course. So of course, two of these things are like kind of hinged on you making a calendar in the first place. So we're going to hit that timeline. We're going to say the new world. I'm going to have to go in and delete all of this stuff because, you know, the new world. And mind you guys, we are looking at this together because I haven't even checked out the timeline yet. Let's see. Editing, deleting. No. Okay, we're going to hit save. What is going on here, folks? So there's nothing to currently nothing for the general view. Okay. Actually, what if we deleted this? Create timeline, Ed and Dawn. Let's see what's going on here. The new world, create. Okay. Add an event. Ooh. Are you showing this event? It's like I feel like I'm missing something in here. Like create an event. Okay, let's say we do that. Create an event. Yo, hey, okay, hold on a second. I think there's something wrong with like my thing because you see when we scroll up a little bit, there's the nope. You see that I don't know if you can see that in the background, but I'm seeing a little guy in the background right now. So, okay. Manage sub-timelines. Okay, add a sub-timeline. No. All right, folks, I'll be right back. I think there's something wrong with my stuff. So I had to zoom out. I don't know if it's like my browser or something. Something might be funky weird here, but I had to zoom out, right? But when I zoom out, like right now I'm at 50%, you can see right now that there is actually something on the timeline. And God, you can't see it because my little guy is in the way. But at the bottom of the screen over here where you see the cursor, there's the first strife. It doesn't have a description in it, but that's what and then underneath that is the new event that I made on here that also doesn't have a description. But you can actually plot out your whole timeline of things on here. That's cool. I didn't know that. I hadn't, like I said, we're doing this together in some parts, so you can actually be like kind of doing this right now. I like that. Okay. So that's like where we're at when it comes to the world building tools, right? Okay. So then you obviously have your other tools, Explorer. Let's see. Let's go over them. Let me fix my screen. Here we go. Okay. Explorer, add a new entity. Ooh. Okay. Let's go with spell. We're going to go with Acid Splash. Select. We'll see what this does. You hurl above. What does that do, though? Oh, okay. Details. General School of Conjuration. Add new entities. Okay. I'm not 100% sure on everything with the management tools here, right? This is very much kind of like behind the scenes, more behind the scenes than like just game mastering. And so we're just having a little fun little time in here. But okay, so that's kind of what happens with the lore, the books, the world maps, the calendars, the events, and the timelines. You also, of course, just have your kind of general campaign material. So we've got character builder. So we have Under Her Dark Gaze, right? Oh wait, actually, hold on. I want to go back to character building, and we're gonna create a character. What would you like to name this new character? We're going to go with Bubbles. Campaign materials. So we're going to hit edit. Character image, you have one. Short description. Again, allow who gets to see this. Very useful, I think, well, actually, hold on. Let's double check something. So here's the thing. You can make, obviously you, the GM who's doing this stuff, can make these characters, right? And can add like levels into them and whatnot. So if you want to be doing that, you can. There's that option on your end of the game as well. And then of course we have campaign books, which again can go back to Emiok. We have campaigns and parties, which I don't have a campaign yet. I haven't created a campaign. But let's just hit a campaign. Oh wait, yes I have. That's a lie. I literally created a campaign, Under Her Dark Gaze. So we have that. Ooh, if I join session. Okay, so when you have like your kind of campaign stuff and you click on it, you can do join session, which means that you can get other players in it as well. If the players are in here, you can request, you can use this to like select characters. I don't have any characters, but I could, if I had characters in here, if a character was in this campaign, I could hit request and I could request them to make me a strength saving throw, which would be private, is my understanding. So you could ask them to do things that nobody else knows that you're asking them to do during the campaign. Okay, so now, of course, we can go to session maps, which like essentially functions the same way that like your standard maps would do. You can create a session map. There's the base layer texture stuff. There's the terrain layer, environmental layer, entity layer, which I'm actually a little confused about that, but I'm assuming it's the like tokens and stuff that you're putting on it. Effects layer, if you have anything. You of course can like grid settings if you want it, background layer, and add this stuff to it. Session 1, you can have like your description and your information, and you add textures in here. Okay, come on. Don't be weird. Okay, thank you so much. But yeah, so you can make set maps for session by session and label them as such to get them back over to things. And then of course, if we go over to sheets, I don't actually have any sheets. We didn't actually get the chance to put things in here, but let's look at the Hedron official character sheet, right? So this is the Hedron official character sheet. It works obviously very clearly. This is a 5e character sheet that you can have your players doing it. We were messing around in the VJ one to try and make one, but like you don't actually need to do that. I was just curious about what it did, and I was just kind of watching it more than doing it myself. And so you have everything you need in here. You have your sheets. You can fill out the information. Your players can fill out the information as needed. Equipment and whatnot. Like honestly, full-fledged custom Hedron sheet. It's a good sheet. Let's see. And then next up, we can go to monsters and stat blocks, bubbles and goblins, which means you can create a stat block. Okay. Actually can't. So we're gonna go into bubbles, right? So there are no defined descriptions for the stat block. Yeah. You hit edit, add all this information, and you scroll down. You can add a heritage. You can go Dragonborn, pretty much whatever you want in here. You can go in that. You can go in here and start like changing around the scores as well. You can add, I think you can add a level if this thing does have actual levels. You can change the temporary hit points, the hit point totals. It'll have the ability modifiers in here already based off of like your other stuff, your ability scores and whatnot, obviously. And then there's armor class, there's proficiency bonus, there's perception level, there's initiative, of course, your saving throws, your skills. Let's see. Feats, if there's anything to add, of course, we can add a feat. And we're going to go back and talk about like kind of feats in a second. Heritage abilities, if there are any. I didn't pick a heritage yet, so there's, rule system granted abilities, bonus abilities. And then, of course, always the sharing bit, which is a kind of, you always see that across the board with this stuff. Now, scrolling back up to, like I said, we were going to go talk about abilities, right? So we're going to come over here and go look at abilities. Now, something that I really like about this. So looking at this, ability score increase +1. Your ability score increases by 1. Then there's a +2, of course. And then there's the ability score increase half health, elf heritage. There's action surge. There's ancestry, SRD ability score increase. And then, of course, there's arcane recovery. There's artificer's lore. There's bardic inspiration. And kind of non-core legal. Let's click on that. Non-core legal, Dungeons and Dragons things, SRD. So here's the thing. While the things that we're looking at right now, it doesn't like these, like arcane recovery. Like if somebody makes something, it's similar to the way that D&D Beyond has, like, if you turn on the feature where people can put in homebrew stuff and whatnot, it will mark it as homebrew. Or at least I think D&D Beyond does. If D&D Beyond doesn't do that, at least that's done here. Like, hey, this is non-core. Like, if somebody has made something, instead of, like, it just being a part of the core stuff, it'll get marked as non-core legal, even though, like, we know Dark Vision is, like, core legal in some things. But other things, like here, Detect a Dragon. Or, let's see. Like, things that get added in here, H2 of 3, and then, of course, there's a couple more pages. And, of course, you can create a new ability if you want. We're just going to go with test, create. It'd be non-core legal because I'm making it, even if I make it out of, like, an official thing. You hit edit, you do that. You add the appropriate fields to stuff, as it needs to happen. And then you add all your stuff into it, sub, pool, etc. You go down, you can choose who can see it, of course. It might just be for your private players. You hit save. It'll save too, but I just like to hit save just in case. And then when we go back to abilities, and if I type in test, we find it and it says not core legal. Same thing kind of goes with like classes. If you were going to make a class, right, I could hit create a class. I'm going to get the... We'll go test again, create. We get the non-core legal thing. Same thing goes for ancestry, spells, casting lists. I'm pretty sure it's about to do the same thing. But we're just going to create. Yep, non-core legal on all of this stuff. So anything you make to add to like the kind of rule sets that already exist, it will let you know, you and the players know, like, hey, this isn't the core stuff, so there you go. Of course, we have items as well, there's a wide variety of items in here, and you can add more, of course. And then we also have shops. Let's see. Did I do shops in this playthrough? Okay, potions. We did a potions shop. Okay, so there's no description. This is a potion shop. The currency that they use, effective value is 1. You can add currency in here as well if you want to. So if you want to create a currency that a specific section uses and then have your like absolute value, your core currency be a gold piece, you'd be like, hey, this currency that we're creating, which I called test, is worth 0.01 for a gold piece, right? So that would be, I think that would technically make it a copper if we were giving it that name, but this doesn't have any inventory in it right now, right? However, you can go in and change that on your own. Universal currency fees. There's no currency conversion fee. There's no convergency fee between gold and test, but I could add a fee, right? I could add, like, what could I add in here? I don't know. Let's say 10. save. And there's a couple of different options. There's scaling, which has math, and I don't want to do that. And then of course there's advanced, which has more things that I would stick with simple personally. The convergency is 10, right? Okay, so expensive, but yes. So you can kind of go in and add an inventory. Let's see, we'd say 15, 35, random choice. We can say item selection, maximize overall value. Items, we can go up, inventory fees, add options. And in here, you can go in and pick what those options were. So, right, we have anchor a feather token, right? Here we go. Item price. Oh, God. Math. Viewing. We can come up here. Now, mind you, I just don't want to figure out the math right now, but there are there's guides and values in how to do this, right? So if you get this once you get this set up correctly, like you will just have shops ready to like pull out. And hold on a second. I know you can. I'm so sure that you can. Let's scroll down. Yes. And you can allow people to see at the moment, like adding them and removing them as needed. Now, that kind of like concludes our walkthrough of the GM stuff. I'm between the next time we do another video, which is actually going to be the players one, because I think that's more useful for people. I'm going to have moved in a bunch of stuff. I'm going to have a functioning like kind of campaign and whatnot going on. And I will show you everything from the player's perspective. I'm going to go in, add myself as a player and do all that stuff. But overall, thus far, what I've seen from like the world building and whatnot and all those different tools, I'm really enjoying this. There are a couple of things that go over my head, and that's just because of who I am as a person. However, in general, this is great. This is like literally perfect. And like I said, I'd already fallen in love with this and was planning on converting things over in the first place. So, yeah, see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for being here, folks. And can't wait to talk to you again. Bye.